Welcome to Keepin' It Real, your go-to radio show for fresh insights and vibrant introductions. Get ready to dive into a world where we offer you the latest in real estate wisdom and the juiciest community tidbits. From expert advice courtesy of top realtors to opportunities to give back through local charities, we've got you covered. Plus, we'll shine a spotlight on the young athletes driving our local sports scene and uncover the buzzworthy happenings both in town and beyond. Stay tuned for a jam-packed hour of enlightenment and entertainment right here on Keepin' It Real.
All right, good Saturday morning to all of you out there listening to our show today. Today, it's Keepin' It Real with the Sherry Ethell Team at Long Realty Studios. I'm Dion Ethell. I'm your host, and we're right behind Denny's on Fry Boulevard here for all your real estate needs. But today, we're going to talk about some other things, and one of them being we're going to have an interview with seniors helping seniors. It's their first time on the show, and what's really cool about that, too, is it's an industry we really haven't talked about, and they've got some really neat stuff to tell us about today, so stay tuned for that. But before we do that, we want to always kick off the show with a few things that are going on here in town, and one of them coming up here that you won't want to miss, so put this on your calendar. It's called Love Unleashed. That's right, the Nancy J. Brewer Animal Care Center is at it again. It's going to be a bark bash at the park. So Saturday, September 13th from 8 to 11 a.m. at Tompkins Park. That's right, Tompkins Park Dog Park, 2060 South 7th Street. So that's right off of Buffalo Soldier. So not all dogs shine in their kennels, you know. Some seem shy, some are scared, some reactive. You never know how they might be, but they're scared. Some of them are just upset that they're in the kennel, but once they get in the play yard, they become their true selves. And that's what they want you to see. So join them for a special event where adoptable dogs are going to show off their personalities in real-time group play sessions. Now, you might not know that they actually have these play groups over there in which they do some training and get them to a point where they are sociable with other dogs and adoptable. So some gentle, some will be rowdy, and all will be absolutely lovable. So come for the tail wags and leave with a best friend. There'll be live play groups you can watch, splashing pools for the dogs that love to swim, discounted adoptions for the event for anybody who is attending, so that'll be cool. And they're actually going to close down shop for that day in the morning, but they'll be open at noon, so be ready to go over there and get your pup. And adorable photo ops are available. Learn about dog behavior, adoption, and fostering from the pros, all the wonderful ACOs who work with the Sierra Vista Police Department over at the Nancy J. And find a playmate for your lonely dog, maybe. Discounted adoptions for attendees, as I said, will be available at the Nancy J. Brewer Animal Care Center after the event starting at noon. So be there. Love Unleashed, a bark bash at the park. That's a mouthful, isn't it? Okay, so let's get this show on the road. Let's get the folks in from Seniors Helping Seniors, and we'll be right back after these brief messages.
Discover excellence in real estate with the Sherry Ethell Team at Long Realty, your premier choice in Cochise County. Sherry's amazing team brings honesty, expertise, and a deep understanding of the local market. Whether you're a first-time buyer or a seasoned homeowner, they're committed to your peace of mind and handle every detail for you. Their approach? Personalized service, above and beyond transactional real estate, building lifelong relationships, nationwide connections, local expertise. There's a reason this team is amongst the top realtors in Arizona and across the nation. You owe it to yourself to call or visit the Sherry Ethell Team, the top team at Long Realty, behind Denny's on Fry Boulevard in Sierra Vista. Call or text 717-599-2439 or Google us for more info. Real integrity, real results.
In a town with heart and history, the Sherry Ethell Team is the key. Serving Sierra Vista, we agree. For military law and retirees, stress-free process you will see. Personal care is our guarantee. Real integrity, real results. The Sherry Ethell Team, we never halt. Real experts here to guide your way, making dreams come true every single day. Trust a team that knows just what to do. The Sherry Ethell Team, working for you. Real integrity, real results. The Sherry Ethell Team is your one and only call.
All right, good morning, good Saturday morning to you. This is the Sherry Ethell Team, Long Realty Studios, bringing you Keeping It Real. We're here with a couple of folks here. I'm excited to be able to bring you on because we haven't had anybody from actually this kind of a business spotlight before. I've got Cameron Schipul and Kate Markland, and they are from Seniors Helping Seniors. And so I'm kind of excited about that because we really never brought anybody on any one of our spotlights that kind of do that kind of business. But we know they're out there. So welcome to the show.
Thank you. We're very excited to be here.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about, I know that you guys, have a lot to tell me about and, about the business, about what kinds of things that you do, what kinds of services you provide. But first, I kind of want to ask you a couple of questions. We always try to get to know people. And first, I'm going to start with you, Cameron, and just tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you get into this business? How long have you been in Sierra Vista? Are you, native Arizonan, that kind of stuff?
Well, I was born in New Hampshire, so used to the cold weather that we don't necessarily always have here in Arizona.
No, that's quite a change.
It was quite a change. And then my dad was a Baptist pastor, and he got moved out to California. So I spent about 40 years in Southern California in the Orange County area.
Okay.
And then how we got here during COVID. At the time, I was working as the chief technology officer for National General. They shut down the offices, and then somehow they even sold the offices during COVID. And
oh wow!
I was like, if we're working permanently from home, I don't need to stay in Southern California. And at the same time, we were foster adopt parents. My wife got exposure to some of the teaching that was going on. We decided we didn't want our kids in school in California, so we traveled the country for 2 years. We just came to Sierra Vista to visit a friend.
Really?
And then, I went on another work trip, and then my wife, I came back, she goes, well, there's this place called, it's a swimming pool, and my son wants to go to that, to a birthday party, so we went to that. I came back a month later, and she's like, I just talked to a real estate agent. I want you to take a look at this house. So we just fell in love with the community. It's sincere people here. I think with Chuka, there's a lot of kids that come in, through the military. So there's plenty of sports for our kids. And we fell in love with it and then moved here. So I've been here about 3 years.
Okay. Yeah. And tell me now, why Seniors Helping Seniors? And Kate, we're going to get to you too. So I don't want you to feel left out, but I'm kind of interested in how you got into this kind of business, because this other business you were talking about, that was insurance.
Yeah, I was on the technology side of insurance. So,
okay.
Focused on replacing mainframes and moving them to the cloud and things like that. So
gotcha.
I had the development teams. So where I got involved here, about 10 years ago, my dad, he was a do-it-yourself kind of guy. He didn't really want to ask for help, didn't need help. He would figure out how to do things himself. He decided to change a pool filter on a 103-degree day in Claremont, California, right outside of Pomona. And when he opened the filter, the chlorine exploded. He took a deep breath, immediately had 40% lung capacity. At that time, the only thing we really could do was assisted living. And obviously there's this time of safety and, concerns where we want to make sure people are safe and assisted living is appropriate. But we ended up going to 4 assisted living facilities in 7 months. And that experience was very traumatic for my mom. She said, no matter what, I want to stay home. I do not want to go into assisted living. We ended up bringing in caregivers to help my mom. She had early stages of dementia, and we were just looking at it a few times a week. My sisters and I, we all worked, and we weren't able to be there.
So your dad and your mom had issues then?
Yeah, my dad had issues. He passed away after 7 months away. And then after that experience, my mom, she just wanted to stay home. She did not want to go into assisted living. She was convinced if she wasn't visiting him every day, he wasn't going to be getting assistance or care. And so we decided we wanted to keep her at home. And I did a lot of research, especially with dementia or some of the cognitive decline. Getting up in the middle of the night, knowing where your light switch is, not getting anxious because you hear all of these sounds going on in the background, not knowing who's walking through the hallways, and honestly, home cooked meals can make a huge difference for that care. So we decided it probably was good for her and safe for her to stay home. We just had challenges, people not showing up, things disappearing. My mom had a cognitive decline, and she had a whiteboard with the name of a caregiver, and then someone else would show up.
Oh, no. That's
and so
tough.
it was a struggle. We lucked out. We had 67-year-old Pam come, and long story short, after a few weeks with Pam, who came every day and was always there, we saw this huge positive change in my mom. And I asked her, I was like, well, what was the difference? She goes, I don't feel like I should have to tell a caregiver what to do. If I asked other ones what to do, they would do it. But Pam would volunteer. There was times that she was, I could be a little stubborn, and part of the care plan was encouraging my mom to walk.
Nice.
So other caregivers say, do you want to walk? I would say no, and they would just sit there. Pam would say, well, okay, if you don't walk, muscles are going to be sore. Let's just get up, give me 5 minutes. My mom got up to 2 miles a day.
Now, do you think that was from just being a little older, a little more seasoned, and have that life experience, or?
It was. When my mom was sharing some of the things that they were talking about, she goes, I just feel like someone who's closer to my age, I feel like it was a friend. It wasn't hired help. She's all, I feel like someone who's close to my age, I'm going to be more receptive. She goes, it might not have just been about their age. I was willing to have them in my home, and, I felt more comfortable. And I went and, I was in San Antonio at a meeting, and I went to the lunchroom, and I looked. There was all the 20-year-olds sit together in the lunchroom, the 30-year-olds sit together in the lunchroom, the 40-year-olds sit together.
Yeah.
It's just human nature. We are going to be connected with people who have things in common with us, that have similar life experiences. So after what I saw with, what was going on with my mom, and it was 30 years in IT was long enough. AI was coming in, taking over all these things, and it just wasn't very rewarding anymore.
Yeah.
And I started researching in-home care, and we found Seniors Helping Seniors, and they weren't here in Southern Arizona. So it's a 30-year-old franchise, started in Philadelphia. It really did focus on, at the beginning, meals. So it was kind of like a Meals on Wheels delivery.
Right.
Individuals would be bringing meals out, and the person receiving the meal would say, hey, can you help me with my light bulb? I can't get the towels, they're too heavy. Can you help me get them out of the dryer? And I want help with the fitted sheets. I can do the rest of my laundry, but I can't get those fitted sheets
on, yeah.
So the business grew to in-home care, and I loved the concept. It was exactly what my mom had experienced. So we purchased the franchise, and basically multiple territories here in Southern Arizona, and it's been one of the most rewarding things I've ever done. It really comes down to, as humans, we don't want help. We don't ask for help. We don't want to be a burden to our kids. We don't want to be able to even ask just for a doctor's appointment ride or things like that.
Right.
But having someone just a few times a week, closer to your age, makes a huge difference. So it's been very rewarding to be able to, one, I think the caregivers themselves, I think it's rewarding for a lot of them. They worked in corporate America, or, we've had people that owned a flower shop. They did other things. Being a caregiver, one of the things we talk about is be yourself, be sincere, but providing just a little bit of support and assistance with the activities of daily living, what we call chores at home. But when you're doing it for somebody else and you're helping them be able to stay at home, it's a real blessing, I think, for both the receiver of care as the caregivers themselves.
Well, that's cool that you went in this direction because of your personal experience. Kate, I'm going to switch over to you. Just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah.
And what's your role with Seniors Helping Seniors?
Great question. All of us do everything.
Yeah.
One of the nice things about Seniors Helping Seniors is the folks that are leading, the folks that are following, all of us are still caregivers. We do shifts. Cameron just did one yesterday, wasn't it?
Yep.
And it's lovely because our receivers of care, as we refer to our folks, when they see Cameron walk in the door, it's all, oh, it's Cameron's here.
Yeah.
Because he's just such a lovable guy. Actually, my father was stationed here in 1963.
Oh my gosh, you might be one of the folks who I've heard from the farthest back. There's a couple of people who are a little bit longer than that, but that's a long time.
And so he was stationed at Fort Huachuca with the electronic proving ground, which I believe is still active.
Oh yeah, it was probably a lot different back then, right?
No traffic lights.
No traffic
The
lights.
town ended at 7th Street.
Yes, I remember hearing about that.
And we lived in the west side.
Okay.
In fact, I just bought a house there because it was built in 1958. I love it. So how did I get into caregiving, which is my primary role? Through family. Started with my grandmother, who immigrated from overseas, and she was living in California by herself. Good community, but no family nearby.
Yeah.
And so I happened to be stationed in the Army myself near there. So I went and helped her through her death. And then I took care of my parents. My mother had a bad heart. My father had advanced frontotemporal dementia, which is pretty serious. And after that, I helped care for my sister-in-law, who had multiple sclerosis, and it was progressive. So I helped care for her through her death. And I got hooked.
Got hooked on it.
There is nothing that fills the heart more than being a caregiver.
Wow, that's awesome.
It is.
Well, I appreciate both of you guys coming on. This is probably a great time for a break. Let's take a quick break. We'll come right back and hear more of their stories and talk a little bit about the business and what is all behind Seniors Helping Seniors. Welcome to an exciting new chapter in real estate marketing with the Sherry Ethell Team at Long Realty. We're thrilled to introduce our groundbreaking radio campaign that's set to virtually transform how homes are sold in our community.
Are you looking to sell your home? Imagine your listing highlighted as not just a home of the week, but receiving continuous, exclusive attention on the airwaves until it sells. That's right. Every single Sherry Ethell Team Long Realty listing will now be featured regularly, ensuring maximum exposure to maximize your speed of sale.
Here's how it works. Each week, we'll spotlight all of our current listings in individual, engaging, and detailed 30-second radio ads. Whether you're selling a cozy starter home, a luxurious estate, or anything in between, your property will be heard by thousands of potential buyers in our local area. This innovative approach guarantees that your home remains top of mind for listeners until the perfect buyer comes along.
Why choose the Sherry Ethell Team at Long Realty? Because we're committed to delivering unparalleled service with a personal touch. Our new radio campaign will be just one more way we help reduce the stress of selling your home by giving it the visibility it deserves. We understand that selling a home can be a daunting process, but with your tailored marketing campaign and this kind of presence, it'll be easier and more efficient than ever.
Tune in to Cool 104.1 to hear about the latest listings on our new program we're calling our Home Spotlight Series. Or catch the Keepin' It Real radio show every Saturday morning at 7 a.m. for the latest real estate tips from the experts. Weekend open houses, awesome charity opportunities, great happenings in our community, and wonderful interviews with youth sports coaches and athletes.
So don't miss out on this unique opportunity to have your home featured in our exclusive radio campaign. List with Sherry Ethell Team Long Realty today and experience the magic of real estate marketing like never before.
For more information, give us a call at 717-599-2439. Sherry Ethell Team Long Realty, behind Denny's on Fry Boulevard right here in Sierra Vista, where your home story is told until it's sold. Remember, with us, it's not just about selling houses. We make success stories for a living. Stay tuned, stay informed, and let's help you find your perfect home. All right, welcome back to the Sherry Ethell Team at Long Realty Studios and Keepin' It Real. I'm Dion Ethell. I'm your host. I'm a team realtor here with the Sherry Ethell Team, and I am talking with Cameron Schipul and Kate Markland from Seniors Helping Seniors right here in town, and we're talking a little bit about the business. We got to know them a little bit before the break. Now, kind of, I want to dive into, well, first, I kind of want to go back to a couple things that you mentioned, right? We were talking about family needing help and things like that. You talked about the sheets even, and it made me think of my grandmother. So my grandmother was 103 when she passed away, and I remember in her, it must have been mid to late 90s, she actually tried to flip her mattress, and because that's something that you did, and she was like, well, you have to flip your mattress. Well, she got stuck in between them, and that, it could have been a kind of a serious ordeal, and it definitely makes you start thinking about it. And even with my own parents, who are a little bit older, they're in their mid 80s now, certainly still active and vibrant, but you start to see little things where they need some extra help, and it really made me start thinking about that a little bit, because I think we all have parents. We all get old. None of us are getting any younger.
I wish we could figure that one out, but yeah.
So we're all getting old. And it made me think of a couple of things. So you mentioned that your personal story, you struggle a little with the assistant living. I'm not trying to slam on assisted living centers or anything, but kind of what was your personal struggle with that, or your family? You said you went through like 4 of them or something before you kind of settled on, hey, I think we're going to do this at home. What were kind of some of those personal struggles?
For my mom, a lot of it is, the expectations of what you're going to receive as far as full-time care.
I see. Mm-hmm.
That 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes at night was not what, she anticipated. Pulling the cord and no one coming and things of that nature.
So it's probably different everywhere you go.
Oh, it's
right?
been different, yeah. And I'm not going to say names of any organizations. They're all in Southern California, by the way. There's definitely a time, where safety is a concern, where, that full-time support. And it could be independent living and retirement. It could be memory care.
I think of that with my parents, the independence and everything. That's got to be a big one.
It is. And a lot of our focus really is around assisting. We don't use the word help. We're here to assist individuals to remain independent with dignity and respect in their own home. And a lot of individuals, they, and I'm probably going to be the same way. We don't tell our kids that, there's something going on. My knee's been hurting for 6 months, You
get to find those things out through just
exactly. Yeah. And sometimes you find out too late.
Yeah.
But when you have a caregiver that's closer to your age, the conversations start happening. Individuals start seeing things. We had a lady that we were working with, and the caregiver, basically encouraged her to go to a doctor to see if she had a UTI, and sure enough, she did. The daughters were involved, but they're like, Mom never said anything, And that's just human nature. We don't want our kids to worry about us. We feel like we're responsible for them. And in their senior years, we don't want to be a burden. So just having a little support here or there. And the aspect of dignity and respect is not going in and having someone feel like they're insufficient. Just say, hey, do you mind if I go ahead and, dust this for you? And I cooked a meal, but let me finish out these dishes, and I noticed something else is over here. There's a balance of safety that needs to come into play when it comes to independence. And I brought up the fitted sheets earlier. We've run into that multiple times.
It's tough. It's tough for me to get them on by myself.
We did an assessment one time. We said we can do laundry, and the lady jumped in. No one's going to touch my dainties. I don't want anyone doing my laundry.
Okay.
That same lady within 2 weeks was doing the fitted sheets with her caregiver. They were doing it together. So
nice.
We do promote that independence, but it really comes down to having a comfort of someone that's there that you believe with all of their heart that they are there for the right reasons. They're there to support you and help you be independent.
Now, with your services, are they all of your clients, are they all getting 24/7 care, or is some people maybe don't need that and they get partial, or how's that work?
I'm glad you asked that. We have 2 different areas that we focus on. Companion care, it really is around the activities of daily living, where we can support with medicine reminders. We do a lot of the tasks at home that are, my boys they're doing chores, right? We do laundry, dishes, light housekeeping, meal preparation, even transportation to doctor's appointment. And that's where we really focus on seniors. We find that those are the times where just once, twice, maybe 3 times a week, just for a couple hours, can really make a difference to remain independent for a long time. As aging progresses and mobility changes, we work with individuals that have had hip surgery. They don't need us long term, but for the first 4, 5, 6 weeks at home, having some support around the house, while they're recovering from hip surgery is a real benefit. And then we do 24/7. We're working with, a few hospice organizations in town right now. While they're coming in for an hour or so a day, we're there the rest of the time to make sure that the family has support. And we do have younger caregivers that can stay overnight and things like that. But it's
let's talk about that a little bit. Yeah, I know that's part of it, right? And maybe we'll flip over to Kate and ask you about this, because I know you have things to tell us here. Some of these people are older, who are companions. They're giving that personal care, kind of like Cameron had talked about, that socialization and that peer-to-peer kind of feel to it. And then you have some younger people who are doing some of the heavy lift capability, right? Mm-hmm. Is that right? And
Correct.
Maybe tell us a little bit about what that looks like.
Well, our hiring practices are pretty high standard focused.
I would hope so.
Yes. We don't just take anybody off the street. And as a result of that, we have found some really wonderful caregivers of all ages who are doing this from their heart. It's not a job to them.
Yeah.
We have a couple of young gals right now who are getting ready to start nursing school, and they're in their early 20s, but they were very close to their grandparents. So they fit perfectly with older people, but they're able to lift 150 pounds. So that makes a big difference.
Huge, right? Yeah.
That's right.
Okay, so maybe walk me through what some of the younger folks might do in terms of services.
Good question there. I worked in assisted living for a while as well.
Oh, did you?
So if I take you through the entire day, that would probably be beneficial.
Yeah.
So if we're working a 24-hour shift, and you have someone working, say, from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m., their primary focus is helping the person into bed, staying awake all night in case the person needs something at any time. And then a lot of seniors are early risers, so let's help them get up and get ready in the morning, make them some breakfast, and then hand off to the day person. Giving showers or standing by to assist, right now I have a receiver of care. All she requires is for me to be in the bathroom while she's showering, just in case.
In case she needs something.
And really, I think just in case has a lot to do with what we do.
Yeah. Does that give people confidence and comfort in knowing?
Perfect description of it. I think the best thing about assisting, the difference between assisting and helping is we're not doing it for the receiver of care. We're not forcing them to do anything.
Okay.
We're just encouraging. And where their capabilities have a limit, we help pick up from there. So showers, transferring, meaning going from the bed to a wheelchair. In some of the extreme cases, perhaps they're bedbound. Then we're able to keep the sheets clean and unwrinkled, change briefs, make sure the person is not getting any ulcers,
bed sores and stuff.
Bed sores.
Yeah.
Because when we do showers, we check every inch of the body too, just to make sure. Because I know I have places that I can't see on my body, so and it's probably a good thing.
That's awesome. So, and as far as I know, everybody's different, and you kind of walked us through the fact that they're kind of making that decision there, how far they want help or assistance, I guess. And I'll get the terminology correct, but
thank you.
But just making sure that they're cared for in a way that would be respectful to their needs. Now, do you ever find, and either one of you can talk about this, but sometimes I think what's better for my parents than they do, but maybe they don't, and I know that they want their independence. And so we may argue about that. You must run into that too, where child is helping, who's older like myself and their parents are aging. And so they help them get enrolled in something. And then now they kind of want to control a little bit because they know what's best for mom and dad.
A little bit of control?
I'm seeing some smiles on their faces, so they must run into it. But we're going to hold that thought. We're going to come right back after these brief messages, and we'll hear the story behind it.
Get set for Keepin' It Real, brought to you by Sherry Ethell Team Long Realty Studios. Tune in every Saturday morning on Cool 104.1 FM from 7 to 8 a.m. Hear engaging interviews with top realtors, local charity heroes, event organizers, and youth sports athletes and coaches. Keepin' It Real. Real people, real conversation, entertainment and insight celebrating our local spirit.
All right, everybody, welcome back to Keepin' It Real. I'm Dion Ethell, and I'm a team realtor here with the Sherry Ethell Team, and right here at Long Realty Studios behind Denny's on Fry Boulevard. And I'm sitting here with Cameron Schipul. I'm also sitting here with Kate Markland, and they are both from Seniors Helping Seniors. But we've learned the word assistance rather than helping a lot, because that's really more of what you're providing, which is kind of interesting. We talked about keeping and preserving that independence and being able to decide what they need help and what they don't need help on. But I asked the question before the break, so do you ever run into, and I got a lot of smiles from their faces, but do you ever run into where the children maybe, and they might be older even in their 50s or 60s or whatever, who think they know better for their parents, and mom or dad or mom and dad are both thinking, I don't need that help for this thing. I want to do that myself, but kids maybe have a different idea. Do you run into that?
We do. We actually run into that pretty frequently. One of the things that we do when we start working with someone, whether it's a daughter or a family member themselves that call and say, I could use a little support, we go out and we do a free in-home assessment. We walk around to see if there's bars in the bathroom. We look at mobility. Is it time to put things in? There's times where individuals are able to get off the toilet and they're fine, and we talk about toilet risers. Muscle memory is good, so get things installed and ready to go before they're actually needed.
I see.
Benefit. Okay. And it's hard for individuals to be able to truly assess where mom and dad is over a phone call, in a far distance, area, and we go in and we see where individuals are at.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we see frequently is around cognitive decline, and we'll talk to someone who's out of state, and they're like, mom's forgetting everything. She doesn't, she's not taking care of herself at all. Well, the truth is always somewhere in the middle, right?
Right.
And so we go in and we meet with mom, and the individuals who are receiving care, we walk through what would be the types of services they would be comfortable with. They are the ones that sign the paperwork. There might be a power of attorney or daughters and others that are involved, but the one receiving care needs to invite us into their home. And we want to make sure they're comfortable with a caregiver coming. And if they're not, to let us know. We actually will go out the first visit and introduce the caregiver. It's not just someone knocking on the door saying, hey, I'm here. And when we start walking through the daily routines, what we find is individuals will say, I don't have cognitive problems. I remember my prom day. I remember my first car. 10 years ago, we went to this birthday, and it's like, oh, did you have breakfast today? Well, I'm not sure. I think I did. It's the memories from today that the brain's not always writing down that new material. And so a lot of times individuals feel like they don't have memory issues because they remember everything from yesteryear, but they're not really able to focus on what's going on today. After a few weeks of services, eating regularly, water intake, especially in this heat, and believe it or not, just like everyone's told us their whole life, a little bit of exercise, whether it's just walking out to the mailbox or walking down the block, goes a long way. Oxygen starts flowing through the system again. And, there's not really a healing or anything right now for Alzheimer's or dementia, but you're able to have a routine that is easier for you to recall what took place this morning. So building confidence, I think, is a huge part of our approach with individuals, whether independent. And we're able to talk to the family and saying, there are some decline, there's some things going on, but mom is good. Mom's got a good routine right now. And, mom doesn't want to hear she has memory loss. Mom wants to know she's okay and can take care of herself. And you find that middle ground of saying, hey, there's some truth to this, but there's also some things that we can do. And we really just focus on, regardless of what's going on, we're not a medical facility, we're not here to give a diagnosis, but here's the process that we could take that will provide that assistance.
Okay. No, that's very interesting. And I guess, I'm assuming as people kind of progress and decline, what happens when you get to that point where, I can remember back from my own experiences, somebody gets to the point where they're like, they have these moments, I guess, where they just are lost. They don't recognize people around them, and it's very troublesome, and they're upset, and, because they don't recognize anybody anymore. I'm sure you run into that too. How do you guys deal with that?
So we service all of Cochise County. So we were working with a family that was, further out, not in Sierra Vista, they're out in the Douglas area. The boys lived in different states, and the husband was dealing with some Parkinson's. Mom had Alzheimer's. We were coming in just a few days a week, turned into 5 days a week. We were doing shower assistance and other things. Our goal is really, we are a business from a liability perspective, but we also feel like we're a ministry trying to do what we can to help support individuals. And there's a couple factors that came into play in this scenario. The main one was safety. Obviously cost is a factor. So we go in and we say, look, you're at a point where you're going to need 12 hours a day or potentially 24/7 at some point. Part of the challenge was with Alzheimer's, it was, some anxiety would set in, not recognizing functions that were going on in her body, feeling like she had to go to the bathroom every 15, 20 minutes. It just wasn't safe for her. Her husband was, heartbroken, wanted to keep her there, but we ended up having a meeting with the family. We gave them some referrals to different assisted living facilities. Some were smaller homes that just have a few rooms, and some were larger and had memory care specialty. and encourage them to go two or three or four of them. You're going to be making a decision, whether it's tomorrow, next week, or in 2 months. Start researching and figure out what's going on and what's available out there.
That's cool. So you guys help with that transition then.
Yes. Yeah. And part of that, its main thing is safety for the receiver, but also for our caregivers. We don't want our caregivers to be in a situation where they're showing up at 7 a.m. and, there's been accidents all night. That's not safe for anybody.
Right. Wow. Yeah, I didn't think about that. Now, as far as your business goes, what are you looking for right now? What's your needs? Kate, maybe I'll flip back to you since you were talking about what kinds of people. You've got young to older crowds that are assisting and helping these people. Assisting these people.
Yay!
I'll get it right again. But what's that look like? What do you need right now?
Well, as you can imagine, things change from day to day.
Of course. Yeah.
Not only with our current receivers of care who are going down the path of life, but new ones coming in all the time. And one of the things Cameron and I were talking about the other day is how families or even individuals wait until the situation is serious.
Right.
We are, as humans, are unable to prepare for the inevitability of mortality.
Yeah.
So right now, I would love to see more folks who want to come in as companions, which is a good start. And then we're there to help folks as their situation changes.
And what age group would you be looking for primarily?
So for us right now, I'm thinking of the caregivers that we have right now, and they are generally from about 40 to 65.
Okay.
So but the exception is, of course, the younger people who are close to their grandparents, and they know the culture, they know the TV shows, terminology, behaviors, they know it all.
Right.
We actually have a couple of caregivers. These gals are amazing. Couple of them are retired LPNs, licensed practical nurses, and
that must be handy.
They got tired of nursing and they wanted to be companions.
Oh, wow.
We have a retired midwife.
Oh.
And in fact, we did the Benson 4th of July celebration. We had a booth there, and she came to help because she lives in that area. And there were people stopping by, and I'm going, everyone in Benson? And she said, well, I delivered most of them.
Oh, my gosh. No kidding. That's cool.
But the relationship is there.
Yeah. Wow.
So even if you've never had any training as a caregiver, or
that was going to be my next question is, do you have training? Do you provide that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So folks come in with their current set of capabilities and preferences, too. We're very strong on that.
Okay.
We want people to tell us, what kinds of things would you like to do for a receiver of care? What days of the week do you want to work? How many hours a day or a week?
And is it pretty flexible?
Very flexible.
Okay.
Because we want everybody to be happy.
Okay. That makes sense. I mean, obviously, you're going to give better care if you're happy and enjoying the work.
Exactly.
And I imagine most people who are thinking about this line of work anyway, are probably thinking they probably do it for other reasons than most people go out and get a job. I mean, a lot of people are going out and get that job for the paycheck, for other things. Yeah. But this is probably has a little more altruistic kind of approach to it.
That's a good term, altruistic, because it comes from the heart.
Yeah.
You're just pulled into this. It's really hard to explain. I have a receiver of care that I have been with now for almost a year.
Yeah.
And she had hip surgery. And so in the first 3 months, it was a lot of physical stuff. But now it's more keeping her confidence up, keeping an eye on anything that might be changing for her needs. And she and her family think of me as a member of the family.
Oh, that's cool.
And that happens a lot with our caregivers.
Yeah, I bet. I'm sure I could understand that. I know I had a little gal who is 90 years old, and my little Connie, we actually sold her house, and she went to live closer to family because she's getting at that age where it's tougher for her independence or anything. She kind of needed that and she needed some companionship anyway. But yeah, I would bring her little meals, because her favorite was a salmon dinner up there at Texas Roadhouse. So I would bring her the little thing, and she liked ice cream and Coke, and I happen to like both of those. So
match made in heaven.
Yeah, it was perfect. So, but I definitely can see where you would get really attached, because I got really attached, and I was just selling her house, and we would talk for hours and whatnot. I found that to be very rewarding. Doing business and having that contact with her reminded me, I guess, of my grandmother a little bit too, and who's passed, and so kind of reminiscing a little bit. So it's really kind of cool. And I don't know where I was going with that, but but I think that's really cool that you can get a job and it can be really rewarding at the same time, and really rewarding to other people, almost in a charitable sense.
Exactly.
So that's really...
And it's never transactional.
So what's your favorite part about being a caregiver?
Goodness.
I mean, what do you enjoy the most out of it? What do you get the most out of it?
I think my very, very favorite role is entertainer.
Entertainer, okay.
We have a receiver of care at one of the local retirement places. Mm-hmm. And when she goes down to dinner, I'll sneak up behind her, and she loves it.
Yeah.
She just thinks it's great, and everyone else in the place is going, "Who's that?" The other thing is, we don't wear scrubs. We do not dress as caregivers.
Okay.
We dress as friends of the family.
Yeah.
Because that's really who we are.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, let's take a quick break. We're going to come back, finish our show. I got a couple more questions for Cameron. Again, this is the Seniors Helping Seniors here. I've got Cameron and Kate, and I appreciate you guys being on the show. We'll be right back after these messages.
Do uneasy markets have you waiting for the ideal moment to make home ownership a reality? Your answer lies in a conversation with Sherry Ethell and her exceptional team at Long Realty, a name synonymous with trust and reliability in Arizona's real estate landscape.
Hi, I'm Sherry Ethell, Realtor and Team CEO of the Sherry Ethell Team at Long Realty. Your ideal moment has arrived. We tailor our approach to you and your needs and goals. Let us put our extensive network to work for you and take the stress out of the process.
Whether buying or selling, remember the name Sherry Ethell and the Sherry Ethell Team. Visit the Sherry Ethell Team at Long Realty behind Denny's on Fry Boulevard in Sierra Vista. Call or text 717-599-2439 or Google us for more information. Real integrity, real results.
All right, welcome back to Keepin' It Real. This is Dion Ethell. I'm your host of the Keepin' It Real radio show, brought to you by the Sherry Ethell Team at Long Realty Studios. We're right behind Denny's on Fry Boulevard, here for all your real estate needs. But today we're talking about care and assisting others as they kind of age. And we're here with Seniors Helping Seniors. We're here with Cameron and Kate, and we're talking about different aspects of it. We've had a great conversation, but I kind of want to ask some more detailed questions from you, Cameron, running the business. How do people pay for these things usually? Because I'm kind of foreign to that. It's kind of like Kate had mentioned earlier. You don't think about these things until it's really late in the game. And I probably should be better. And I'm sure there's people sitting out there right now thinking, oh my God, I got to start thinking about this. My parents are in their 80s or their 90s or whatever. And we just kind of put it off. No one wants anybody to get old, but we get older every day. So tell me, how do people pay for this? Is insurance cover any of this stuff? What's that look like?
We work with the VA.
Okay.
So for veterans, the VA will help do assessments and look at what type of support would be needed at home. We do direct billing with the VA, and so they'll pay for our services. We also work with long-term care insurance. And if anybody's looking at, life insurance or planning ahead, in your 30s or 40s right now, go buy long-term care insurance. Take a look at what you will need, years and years and years from now. Long-term care, there's different plans, but they'll approve a certain number of hours a week where they provide support. A lot of the long-term care agencies are focused on assisting individuals to stay independent in their home, and knowing that assisted living is a higher cost, so they're very supportive of our services. Otherwise, the rates for personal pay are $34 an hour. We don't
That's
have
pretty cheap.
It's
inexpensive.
It's one of the lowest ones in Southern Arizona as far as pricing. We also don't do long-term contracts. We really just say, give us a try for 2 weeks and go week to week after that.
Okay.
We don't have, long out, minimum hours or things like that. We have families that we just go in for a few hours a week. And actually we just...
That's kind of nice too. I like that you can, it's kind of a different kind of relationship, I think, because we get into contracts and everything. And of course we deal with contracts all the time. And a lot of people get scared about those things.
Yeah. Well, you don't want to make a long-term commitment if it's not going to work out. So we just say, in the IT world that I came from, we would use the word bake-off. Let me get 2 different systems and see which one's better.
Yeah.
We're open to a bake-off. Just do a comparison. We believe we have a lot of differentiators with our business, but also with our caregivers, and they'll speak for themselves. And the other part is just a few hours a week makes, I always said it made a difference, but we just had a scenario where, and this goes back to the caregivers. We had a caregiver that only wanted to work 6 to 10 hours a week. And she was with a family that we were going out for twice a week. The husband was taking care of his wife. He would go out to grocery shopping, doctor's appointment while a caregiver was there. He woke up one morning with some stomach pain, called us, said, can she come out today instead of tomorrow? And we had her go out. I got a call about 3 hours later. He was being admitted to surgery immediately. His wife had Parkinson's. She couldn't feed herself. So we went from 2 visits a week of 3 hours each to 24/7 care for 5 days while the family was able to fly into town and get him back home. Just recovered. And then when he recovered, we went right back to, a few days a week.
Oh, so that's awesome.
Just having it as a backup.
What a flexible, that's super flexible. Yep. Okay, I like that. Talking about some of the insurance that you can get for long-term care and everything. Mm-hmm. I know a lot of people, especially if they're in their 30s or 40s, are probably not thinking about long-term care. But you can speak to the importance of that.
Absolutely.
So how important is this, and when should you invest? Is that around the age that you should invest, or can you still invest later into it? Do you know anything about that?
From an insurance standpoint, you can invest later up to a certain age, but the later you invest, the more
harder it is probably to get it.
The higher the cost and the lower, the lower benefits that you get out of it. It's very similar to life insurance. I would say, 20s, 30s, when you're looking for life insurance, or even if you haven't had it, go 40s,
long-term
50s,
care.
Make some phone calls, look at it, and see what long-term care is. The thing that we're running into right now is the economy is continuing to change. Inflation's going up, cost of living's going up, groceries are going up. So a lot of the individuals we work with, their Social Security is basically taking up everything from their home and their food. And so when you have long-term care, you don't have to sacrifice or compromise your own quality of life because of cost. Long-term care insurance can help cover that. So I encourage everyone I know now, especially if we start in this industry, look into it. Don't wait until later. There's a huge benefit to it.
Wow.
But going back to inflation, that's the other reason why we don't do large minimum hours. We truly believe just a few hours a week can make all the difference in the world, and we want to be flexible with billing and not say, hey, you need 20 hours a week. We will go in just for a few hours and make a difference.
That's kind of an interesting business model because most people, they want to sell you as much as they possibly
it's
can.
Probably a horrible business model.
You're almost the opposite. So that's kind of unique.
It really goes back to seeing the difference that it can make. And we don't want to be, we want to be invited in. We want it to be a pleasurable experience for our receivers and our caregivers, and not for them to feel like, oh my gosh, I have to do 20 hours a week or anything like that.
Well, that makes perfect sense. And I strongly believe it's kind of like, my wife had gotten into real estate because, in the federal government, as I moved around, and she was a scientist before. And so we traveled the country and we moved into a lot of houses, and we had good and bad experiences, a lot more bad than I would have liked. And she kind of thought, this should be easier for people. People should have less stress in this process. This should be a better process. I want to fix that. And so that's what she decided to start her business with after she retired. And I love that you kind of did the same thing. You saw this opportunity here where you had kind of a little bit of a negative experience, but you had a happy ending to it, and you saw an opportunity there to maybe bring that to somewhere else into our little community, which is great. We love that. And that's what I love about the show is we get to talk to people like yourself who have great stories and get into a business or into a charity or something and flourish our community and make our community just a little bit stronger, a little bit better. And it's because of that I don't know, that personal context and that desire to make a place better. And I think that's one of the things that makes Sierra Vista and Cochise County really great, a great place to live.
You got to know what your passion is and the why, right?
Yeah.
So for me, my why is I saw the benefits for my mom. And I tell people all the time, I don't hire anybody I wouldn't want with my own mom. And it's a constant reminder.
That could be a tough
one. It is. You know?
Very tough.
Tough one with recruiting, yeah. But that's good that you're taking the extra care. That I'm sure that will make people who are listening, who are considering that kind of thing for themselves, because we would want that. You know, I know with my own parents and everything, I would want that too. Now, I want to ask another question. Sometimes I feel this way, at least. I don't know if anybody out there is thinking the same thing, but I live in the same town now. I brought my parents closer so I could help them as they got older. And my wife's brought her parents here too, and so we have that opportunity to help more. But we're busy too. We're working and everything, and you feel guilty, you know, that you don't see them more often, spend more time. But then when you start to think about and you see other people or friends or whatever that have maybe a lot more care needs, and you're like, oh my gosh, how am I ever going to do that? And I'm not getting any younger. How am I going to get help for them? I just wonder if you run into that too, where people kind of feel guilty about even getting the help, not just the senior person who's, you know, getting the services, but the family.
We do. And one of the, actually we have a training class on it. And one of the things that we focus on is caring for the caregiver. So anytime you fly in the United States, you always hear the announcement reminding moms, if the face masks fall, put the face mask on yourself first before you put it on your children. Because if mom can't breathe, no one's taking care of the kids. So what we refer to as respite care, we want people to be able to have that relationship as a mom, as a daughter, as a son, and then let us take care of some of the other tasks. So there's a quality focus there. Individuals who feel guilty about, quote unquote, hiring help, just give us a call. We can walk through the types of support we can do so that we're taking care of the things that allow individuals to focus on the relationship with mom, taking her out to get her nails done while we do the dishes and things like that. The other part of it is the receiver of care is going to open up to a caregiver that's a little closer to her age, more so than a daughter. They're not going to, worry. And I know I felt guilty for a while. It's like, well, what do we do? Do we bring other people in? Do I quit my job? How do we do this? And in the end, seeing it's not about who's doing it, as far as just one of the, the kids coming in. It's about who has the heart to be there, and my mom was comfortable with it. And in the end, we realized my mom didn't want to tell the kids what was going on.
That's a good point.
She didn't want to be a burden.
Yeah.
She wanted a mother-child relationship. But she needed some additional support that she felt more comfortable talking to someone else.
Man, that's a good way to put it. And I didn't think about it that way. Keep that same relationship that they've always had, and somebody else could do the other work. That's really cool. It's really good, and it's timely for me personally, and I'm sure there's a lot of people listening out here too that either they're in a situation where parents are getting older, family members getting older, or have special needs, or maybe it's a senior out there who is getting to that point where, hey, I might need some help, especially if they don't have anybody here in town. So that's awesome. Well, where are you located? We haven't talked about that. So last thing, where are you located at? How do we contact you?
So Southern Arizona, shs.com is our website. So Southern Arizona spelled out, Seniors Helping Seniors abbreviated. We are in all of Southern Arizona, Tucson down to Mexico, over to the Safford area on the eastern side. The most important thing I want to emphasize is our caregivers are local to the cities they serve in. So we have caregivers in Douglas, in Wilcox, in Benson. I know a lot of organizations, they'll send caregivers driving 40 or 50 miles to fill shifts. We want our caregivers to be close by. 520-487-4246 is our phone number.
All right, you guys say that one more time.
520
we're on radio.
487-4246.
All right.
And, honestly, even just inquiring, what would this be like? We'd love to just meet families, and it could be that they're not doing anything this week. It's just getting some information, because 2 or 3 months from now, you want to know what's available. And going back to, kids being kids, we've gone into several scenarios where mom lives right up the street, but we go in and just do showers. So the son and mom are going to have their own personal relationship. He does the meals, he takes care of her.
Yeah.
But son doesn't want to take showers with mom doesn't want to, son doesn't give him showers.
Yeah.
So we just start with that, and then we go from there.
Okay. And do you ever have a situation where kids are not really close here in town? They live far away, maybe another state even, and they say, hey, I think my mom probably needs some help, blah, blah, blah. You get in there and you're like, maybe not as much as you think. Really, it's maybe a lot less.
We do, and I'd say about half the individuals we work with retired here while family is in another state.
Yeah.
We do everything up front with the receiver. So one of the things that is a unique differentiator for us is we have a portal where family is able to log in. We've talked to the receiver ahead of time and asked for their permission. Say your daughter could have exposure to us clocking in, clocking out, and we also have a change of conditions. So we would talk to you if we felt like mobility was changing, and are you comfortable with us sharing that with your daughter? But they have exposure to what's going on with the care plan. They see the caregiver clocking in and what tasks were done that day.
Wow.
I love it. It's a balance between making sure our receiver is comfortable with the family knowing, and also making sure the family has exposure to know confidently we've got someone that's there and keeping an eye on mom, and there's that accountability aspect.
Wow, that's cool. Well, Kate, Cameron, I've enjoyed our conversation. It's made me think a lot more about this topic and some things that I need to take care of maybe in thinking and planning. You're right, Kate, it's never too early to start thinking about this stuff. A lot to think about. Nobody's getting any younger here. No. So we're all aging.
Yeah, it's never too early. And, we do a free consultation. There's a safety inspection in it. There's making recommendations around the home. So I'm not a sales guy. I don't want to push anything. With just, look for the invite to come in and, talk and answer any questions you have. And maybe a year from now, it'll be time.
All right.
Dion, we have a couple of events coming up. The first one is Saturday, August 23rd at the mall.
Okay.
We're supporting the Sky Island Regional Partnership with their expo this year. We're also going to be in Benson on September 20th for the We Care Family Fair. And on the week after that, we're going to be at the Benson Lantern Festival. Thank you, Cameron.
I didn't even know there was such a thing.
Oh, it's heavenly. They send up these lanterns.
Yeah.
To remember folks that have passed.
That's cool. Well, I appreciate you guys. I appreciate both of you and sitting down and having a conversation about this topic. It's a great topic to have here in this community and really any community. I really have enjoyed it. So thank you both. And this is Keepin' It Real, brought to you by the Sherry Ethell Team at Long Realty Studios. Here for all your real estate needs right behind Denny's on Fry Boulevard. We're going to be right back after these messages.
We're the real wayfinders, the trailblazers, the go-getters. In a town where the desert wakes before dawn, we don't just talk, we make things happen. And when we speak, it's real, it's genuine, and it's worth hearing. Tune in every Saturday morning at 7 a.m. on Cool 104.1 FM. Join the Sherry Ethell Team for Keepin' It Real, where top realtors, local heroes, and the heartbeat of our community come together. Raw, authentic conversations, expert market insights, and the best local events you can't afford to miss. Keepin' It Real, celebrating our community. Bold, genuine, one of a kind.
That brings us to the end of another Keepin' It Real radio show, and we just want to say a big thank you for letting us be a small part of your weekend. Whether you're a longtime listener or just caught us for the first time today, we're so glad you're here. Got something you'd love us to talk about? Maybe a local story, a cool event, maybe a guest idea. Maybe you're related to or know someone who has an interesting story, profession, or past. We would love to hear from you. So drop it in our Keepin' It Real suggestion box at Long Realty. We're located just behind Denny's on Fry Boulevard. Or if it's easier, you can email me directly at sherry@sherryetthelteam.com or call me or text me at 717-599-2439. This is your show, and it's all about our community, our connections, and the what's up of Cochise County, and as always, keeping things real. And your voice will help shape what we do next. We'll see you next Saturday from 7 to 8 a.m. right here on 104.1 Cool FM, making radio cool again.
Stay safe and stay cool, Cochise County, and keep it real.
What's in a name? Everything. Long Realty has been a cornerstone of Southern Arizona's real estate market for nearly 100 years. Our name is our bond, and our agents are our strength. Trust in the name that stands for experience and expertise. Visit longrealty.com or call 520-459-4993 to connect with an agent today. Long Realty. Smart move.
Thank you for for tuning in to this edition of the Keepin' It Real radio show. Join us next Saturday from 8 to 9 a.m. for more engaging interviews with top realtors and industry leaders, keeping you informed about the latest trends in real estate. Stay connected with us as we bring you updates on the dynamic events shaping our vibrant community. From exciting local happenings to noteworthy charities and causes, we've got you covered. See you next week for another edition of Keepin' It Real.